If you're anything like me, you're probably bullish on Bitcoin, Cardano, any of the altcoins out there, the crypto space in general, especially when you start zooming out on the charts. You look at this long-term uptrend of innovation and price. But if we step outside of that bullishness and those charts, there are a lot of things that we need to be very, very careful of in the short to midterm. In this video, I want to talk about that. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Thank you for cruising in. We're bullish. I'm bullish on crypto. I'm here. I'm here long term. I did videos almost every day in the last bear market, and who knows what's going to happen in the short term? Nobody knows. Don't listen to YouTubers that are predicting what's going to happen next, because no YouTuber knows. Nobody in this world knows what's going to happen next with price. We do a lot of bullish videos. We do a lot of bearish videos too. Not so much bearish, but just these videos and data points that anticipate downside. It's so important to do that. In this video, I kind of want to explore that. I think it's just important that I just put that out there at least once in a while to explore the downside. I know there's a lot of people that will not like this, but I know there's a lot of you out there that will silently absorb this, and you're looking for this because if you're anything like me, you think about these things, and these things are very, very important. And so I want to talk about it. What could happen to the downside? Right now, Bitcoin trading at 40,000, just above $40,000. What could happen to the downside? And so to start exploring this, I actually just want to start with a very simple starting point for what I'm about to say. And it actually stems from this. I tweeted this the other day. It happened, right? Bitcoin. This is a bullish data point in terms of Bitcoin. For the fourth time in Bitcoin's history, we have left the blue zone. The last three times this occurred, the BTC bottom was already in and a massive bullish uptrend followed. Probably a coincidence. Crypto. And this is a long-term holder supply from Plan C. It is such good data. It's such solid data. It's bullish data. If we're looking at this, the last three times this happened, right? And this just happened again. The bottom was in. The bottom was already in for Bitcoin. And so that's a big deal in terms of Bitcoin. That's a big deal in terms of the market shift into a bullish territory for Bitcoin. So now we're starting here because there's something I really want to talk about in terms of what Bitcoin's doing right now. And that is this. We have this data, right? And we have all these previous three times that Bitcoin did this and it's bullish. But the one thing that is a concern, and this could play into the narrative of downtrend for Bitcoin, this could play into divergence away from this pattern. And I'm not trying to cause FUD. I'm exploring a possibility. And that is this, the S&P 500 index. This is the monthly on that chart. And it is just a very steep parabolic rise since, the bottom in 2009 here. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because this chart is, and the world in general, the chaos that we are seeing right now across the world in so many different aspects, this chart could very well reset. This chart could very well reset. The last time we had something like this and Bitcoin reacted to it was in the COVID swing low. There's the S&P 500 index. But from just a market reset perspective, the true last time we've seen this happen was all the way back here. This was the 2008 to 2009 crash, over 50% crash S&P 500 index. My point here is Bitcoin has not been around in an environment where something like this is happening. Will there be a black swan event that triggers something like this after this steep incline that traditional markets have been seeing? Will it happen in the short term? Is there still a year left where we're seeing some upside first and Bitcoin crypto is still going to explode? That's a possibility. But what if something happens in the short to mid term where this chart just plummets and falls another 50% plus? It's something we really need to be prepared for, especially as this chart has just gone crazy. Traditional markets have just been going crazy for a better part of the decade, right? Now, if this happens, the question is, how does Bitcoin react? How does crypto react? How does Cardano react? I want to explore a Cardano chart as well. And so we're looking at this, and this is Bitcoin on the weekly chart. I want to bring this chart up. This can play into the narrative of a market crash of some sort. And this is actually a chart. And let me get rid of some of this. This is a chart that I charted in 2018 at the bear market low, all the way back here in December 2018, right around $4,000 or so. And look what Bitcoin has done since then. This is a story that has played out since I charted this. It's been very on point to what I charted. It's not exact, and I'm not saying it's going to continue. You know, we've talked about this. I had a $90,000 to $100,000 swing high kind of on this chart. That has not happened. We talked about, well, if this is kind of a different bull cycle for Bitcoin, we're getting this sideways consolidation maybe before we get that move, right? That's possibly in play. But at the end of the day, I have this long-term higher high, higher low based on the halvings of Bitcoin, based on Fibonacci retracements. I'm not going to get too much into that, but I have this uptrend of Bitcoin on this chart, and we can see the room for downside is 100% in play. And if we even look at this 200-week moving average is an area that we've talked about many times in terms of Bitcoin retracing, and we're looking at that right now around $21,000 to the downside. And if we actually real quick integrate a higher low Fibonacci from the last bear market low to previous swing high, all-time high, you can see confluent with the 200-week moving average right now is a long-term Fibonacci retracement. Every previous macro swing low that Bitcoin has seen in bear markets, Bitcoin actually broke below for a pretty short period of time, not too long, the 786 of this line, right? So I'm not saying we're revisiting below the 786 around $17,000, but what I am saying is this entire channel, it's 100% in play. I will never be so bullish on Bitcoin and crypto where I don't recognize the fact that something like this could happen. And it's just because it's just happened time and time again when markets said there's too much demand, it'll never go that low. We see Bitcoin just go that low. We see the bearish headlines come out of nowhere, and people start doubting Bitcoin for what it is. And so these prices are in play, everybody. You can't say they're not, right? You just can't say they're not. They're in play. You want to be prepared for it. It could be very much triggered by an environment where traditional markets and world economies in general just kind of fall off a cliff, right? How will Bitcoin and crypto react to that? We haven't seen it really, other than COVID, and that was a very quick thing. Will it be as quick? And if traditional markets don't recover as quick, will Bitcoin recover quicker than traditional markets? You know, will that demand for Bitcoin at such cheap prices maybe come into play? Could this be the shift from traditional markets to Bitcoin? Could it be an event like that? Could on the long term, could that be the most bullish thing for Bitcoin, an event like this? The transfer of wealth going into Bitcoin. Could that be what's happening? So I wanted to talk about that and just explore it. Not really talk about targets or what's in play, but if things crash, everybody, please be prepared. That's all I'm saying. It's all we can do, and none of this is financial advice. And you know, I don't do predictions. I definitely don't want to give financial advice. All we do here is anticipate things based on the data, based on historical evidence of what we've seen before and what we know can happen. It's in play. If we look at a Cardano chart, there's so many Cardano holders out there. 200-week moving average, we've talked about it, down here in the 50-cent range. We have a target to the downside that Cardano still broke out a lower trend line, has not hit the 50-cent target, right? We've hit an 80-cent target and got the bounce, but is there room to continue down to that 50-cent target? Absolutely. Please be prepared for that. We want to see markets turn around. I get it. We want to see, especially Cardano, it has been over half a year of downtrend. We want to see this bullish reversal. We're going to continue tracking that. But again, be prepared, right, for a move to the downside. Not saying it's going to happen. There's a lot of bullish data out there for Bitcoin, for Cardano, for everything, but be prepared for it. If we even go back and we start charting some trend lines here, we have this kind of coming out of that last low, the bear market low. We have this trend line where Cardano just entered a new phase of its price discovery, right? And it broke out, and this was kind of basically right when crypto entered the bull market, November 2020, Cardano escaped that trend line. And so this trend line is in play as well. And this goes down into the 30 to 40 cent range, right below that 200-week moving average. In an environment where crypto's tanking, Bitcoin's breaking those lows that we just talked about in terms of its own macro Fibonacci, and testing the $20,000 area, $21,000 area. This area for Cardano could be a macro bottom if things get bad. And that's what this video is about. If things get bad, if things get worse, and not just crypto, but for just traditional markets in general, and something happens, are you ready for this? That's all. I have to ask myself this question all the time. It plays a huge part into my decisions in crypto. And so we have to talk about this. And so that's why I'm doing a video on it. It will not be the most popular video. It won't. I get it. But we have to explore and be ready for these things. Let me know your thoughts below, everybody, on all of this. What do you think? I appreciate you. Hit the subscribe and like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.